In the Survivor series, we will have many conversations around two themes. The one is that of how do you deploy beyond enemy lines and how do you get the job done? What's the principles behind that? The other one is the style of leadership needed for that to happen. Let's call it mission command. And we need to understand that leadership as an alternative that is different from our current understanding. And in both these themes, both conversations, there's going to be principles behind that, stories, experiences, and that's what we're going to share in this series of conversations. For you to follow and enjoy, best to subscribe and like, and then you will stay in touch with the conversations as they happen. In the Survivor series, as you know, we have our conversations around leadership, but very specifically mission command. That shift from you are in control and you've got authority over everything to a leadership where there's centralized intent. In other words, a shared consciousness, one intelligence, one understanding, but at the same time, there's decentralized execution. High levels of transparency and trust, honesty, openness, all of that. And then the ability to execute. So you better be good. But behind all of that, that whole philosophy is principles. In this conversation, we deal with another one of those principles. Best for you is to subscribe and like the channel, and then it's easier to follow. So in mission command, where it is all about centralized intent, what do we do and why do we do what we do is clear. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what it is. A lot of transparency in that space. Way more than, can I call it, the old days? But at the same time, empowered execution. In other words, the team that's going to get the job done is authorized, empowered, by that I mean they are skilled and they're good at what they're doing and they can actually execute, they can get the job done. And in doing so, they might change the plan, they might come up with a better solution. So it's very dynamic, it's very agile, it's very flexible, it's fast paced. It's also, it's almost an entrepreneurial understanding of warfare and or business, that you are allowed to be creative and innovative as you execute. And you build innovation into your operating model. I mean, that's a great idea, is it not? And it's a continuous process of playing with alternatives and playing with ideas. But what this principle is about, the one of breakthrough or and advanced breakthrough, let me call it that, is that in the old days, we believed in business, many years ago, but we believed in business that through local efficiencies, if you can optimize every little block in your business and you can almost create a 10-10-10-10-10 chain, that chain will still give you 10. It will be a great outcome. And today we know that is not true, simply because of the interdependencies and the variance and the context of the times that we're living in. It's a very fast-paced world, and all the interconnectedness, not so much the complexity, the complicatedness that we bring into this world makes it impossible to keep a tab on everything and therefore control everything, and therefore, you hope to get a great outcome if you chase all these efficiencies. So what we did is we shifted to an approach where you focus more on the breakthrough. Now, I was thinking of an example to use to explain this easy, and maybe it is warfare. In the First World War, it was attrition warfare, and people were in the trenches for months and years. They hold the ground. There was not a lot of movement, very stagnant, very controlled. Just do what you get told to do, don't think. But as from the Second World War onwards, it changed. So in the First World War, not a lot of maneuvering. There was almost no mobility. It was really a war of volume and mass. And just hold out, hold your ground, stay there as long as you can. But later on in the Second World War, it started to change, and from there onwards, it was never going to be the same again. There's a lot of mobility, a lot of maneuverability. You've got different commanders of different forces working together as one. You might have, if I can use that language, Hollywood, you might have the infantry holding the ground in the trenches, but then you allow the armor, the panzer, to go. You're attacking to the north now, or holding the ground to the north. You allow them to go to the east and then come in from the side and see if they can create a breakthrough. But where will they create that breakthrough? Most probably the weakest link, one particular point. But once that breakthrough is achieved, and think now, the word breakthrough as a metaphor for the breakthrough that you need in your business. That place where you are stuck, that place where if you can only get a change in that space, it will give you an opportunity to be in a great business and maybe make a lot of money. That breakthrough, that's the one I'm talking about. But let's say the armor or the panzer can create that breakthrough. At the same time, you allow the paratroopers to jump in beyond enemy lines. I'm just making this up. And the mobile infantry is with the panzer. And now they can link up with the paratroopers. And yes, if all of this can work, then that breakthrough will not only disrupt the enemy, but it eventually will destroy them, because they were not expecting that. And it was coming from an angle or a space that was not in their planning. And you actually surprised them, and you were there first. All those little principles work into this one principle that is of advancement in the breakthrough, right? The breakthrough you try to achieve. Now go back to business again. So what we are saying is, instead of trying to optimize everything in a business, you don't have time for that. It's a fast-paced world. You don't have the resources for that most of the time. You don't have the space, the capacity for that to happen. Why not just focus on where you want the breakthrough to be in your business? You can call it different things. You can call it the biggest challenge in the business. You can call it the number one constraint in the business. But if you can protect that and buffer that so that it's working. In other words, you get the momentum there, you get the advancement that you want, and everybody in the business is supporting that. In other words, let's say your breakthrough in the business, you want it to be in marketing, or you want it to be in sales, you want it to be in production, you want it to be in finance, you want it to be in supply chain. It doesn't matter. What the principle is saying is, if that breakthrough is so important to you that you're going to define the future business based on that, then everybody in the business must know what it is, where it is, and how are we going to support that. Now, there's way more on this principle that I need to share, but I'm not going to do that now. It will be a huge mistake. Why do I say that? Because this whole concept, we will explore it from many different angles on how to create mobility in the business. How do we, business language, how do we optimize the flow of the whole compared to only the local efficiencies, typically the 10-10-10-10-10 chain, and that belief system behind it, that a lot of 10s will give us the 10, the perfect outcome. That's a lie. It's not true. And maybe I'll demonstrate that to you in one of the other conversations coming. But what is important, and what I want you to hear now, is that to focus on the breakthrough, to be very clear about what it is, and to make sure that everybody else understands what it is and where it is and what it is they need to do in order for you to be successful. That is the principle. And this is one of the most profound principles, I think, in any business. I don't even want to talk about, going to war and how critical this could be, to know that if you can create that breakthrough, through the enemy lines, you will most probably definitely need to be supported. And if the support is not there, then you are at risk. And as a matter of fact, many, many people can potentially die, and you can lose the war or the battle. We can go there, but no, we don't need that. What we need is to understand that in any business, there is the constraint, there's the challenge, there's that space where you get stuck. And until you learn to see it and then bring the discipline to protect it with capacity. And by the way, that breakthrough, that constraint, that limiting factor, it could be in the physical space, it could be in the people space, it could be in your leadership. It doesn't matter. But if that is where you're stuck, you have to unlock it. And the way to do it is to bring that discipline around your protective capacity. Make sure that everybody understands their role in supporting, and then you keep the momentum in the breakthrough. Every conversation you have, every meeting you have early in the morning about today's work in the business is focused on the breakthrough. It's the number one discipline we need in business, is to focus our energy on where it is needed. If you don't do this, you don't understand this, your focus is going to be all over the place. You're going to waste a lot of time and effort. So our number one principle when it comes to mission command is where's the breakthrough, and the importance of it, and then how do we advance on it. Smoke it in your pipe. We will build on this metaphor as we go. It's coming. But this one you can smoke in your pipe.